Fellas, we're getting your favorite DK Sportsbook bets in the following categories. So, Paul, first base is a run line or money line bet that you're liking.
Jesse, normally I have difficulty finding good money line bets, and I've turned my attention to the run line in this segment where I can see there are still a few good values on that run line tonight, so maybe Erik can cover them. I'm going to say I want to try something different, so I lean into a couple of underdogs on the money line tonight in a battle of also-rans. I like the D-backs in Pittsburgh as the visitors come in playing some of their best ball of the season, winning 7 of their last 10. Humberto Mejia makes his season debut. Does the rookie throw a no-hitter? Another AZ pitcher did that last week, didn't he? I think he'll be better than the Pirates starter Will Crowe, who I panned earlier, so I'm taking Arizona plus 110. And I also like the look of the game that the Rockies are going to Wrigley Field tonight at the same price because of issues that I highlighted earlier as well. The visitors have a host of batters who've been feasting on the Cubs starter Hendricks in their head-to-head histories, and the Cubs offense has been reduced to a AAA caliber roster since the post-deadline.
All right, Erik, are you going with a run line or money line bet?
Yeah, I'm liking the Yankees at plus 100 on the money line over Atlanta. It was plus 125 last night, but I still like it now. I actually think the Yankees should probably be favored here. Yankees, since the All-Star break, they're 7th by WRC plus compared to 12th for Atlanta, so they've been a better offense so far in the second half. That should definitely, I think, hold true given their deadline additions and given that Atlanta no longer has Ronald Acuna Jr. So better lineup on that side. The pitchers are maybe close to a push. Jordan Montgomery, 3.77 ERA, looks well-deserved. Doesn't stand out a ton in any one area, but slightly better than average. Both strikeouts and walks, about average. Ground ball rate, been a 3.14 ERA over his last 9 starts, so he comes into this one pitching quite well. Huascar Ynoa on the other side, it's hard to know what to make of him. 2.70 ERA. He started the year phenomenally, but he wasn't supposed to be anywhere near this good. And he's really just a 2-pitch guy. He throws his changeup about 5% of the time. Was supposed to be, decent chance of being a reliever before he had an incredible start to the year, which he then ruined by punching a bench and breaking his hand. Very human and relatable there, but not really sure what we do with him. Second start back, he was fine in his first start back, but just given that he's only been this good for it's 10 total appearances now, I think it's unwise to go all in and say he's definitely, the kind of guy who can have an ERA below 3. So if we regress that a bit, I don't think he looks a whole lot better than Montgomery, and I like the Yankees offense more. So I think the Yankees should be probably slight favorites.
Okay, Erik, how about a game total that you're targeting?
Yeah, I'm liking the over in the Royals-Astros game. That's set at just 9 runs. The teams are averaging 9.5 runs per game on the season, so all it has to be is an average offensive performance. And I think they're going to get that against these 2 pitchers, Daniel Lynch and Zach Greinke, who notably their last starts came against these 2 teams, which is always a small boost to the hitter, having seen the guy's stuff pretty recently. Daniel Lynch on the Royals side, 5.12 ERA, looks deserved. Below average strikeout rate, a few too many walks, slightly below average ground ball rate. That's a back end starter. Maybe a legitimate number 5, but not much more than a number 5. And Zach Greinke on the other side, 3.43 ERA, but that's almost a run better than his FIP, and he's not actually been a FIP beater. You often might think of these wily veterans as the kind of guys who reliably outperform their peripherals. That's not actually the case with Greinke. His ERA is 0.04 runs better than his FIP over the course of his career, so we should expect him, I think, to jump up near that FIP going forward. He just doesn't strike guys out anymore, under 18%, and he doesn't pair that with a high ground ball rate. He doesn't walk guys, just 4.8%, but if that's the only thing he does at a high level, more often than not, he's going to give up a run of singles together. So I don't think he's going to keep the Royals bats too quiet here, especially, again, given that they just got to face him. I think 9 runs is pretty easy total for these 2 teams to hit.
All right, Paul, what do you think? How about a game total that you're going to be targeting?
It's a good thing for you I'm picking other games than Erik, so I'm going to stick with that trend. And going to the game at Wrigley, I talked about that a lot in the 2 segments today. The run line is set at 9, so I'm going to look to the alternate run total of 10.5. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring here, and 160 payout awaits me in a matchup that would surely favor the hitters in this one. I also like the under total going the alternate route against a better payoff in Toronto. The Jays offense has really stalled in the past week, and I don't see them turning it around against one of the Cy Young candidates tonight in Lance Lynn. I also see Manoah bouncing back for the home side, so I like the alternate run total of less than 7.5 runs to pay at plus 125 this evening.
All right, Paul, third base is a pitcher prop. So which prop are you going to be going with?
Well, earlier I spoke of the trouble that Marco Gonzalez has been having when facing the A's batters over their careers. I think they get to him early and often before he reaches a possible fourth strikeout. So that means I take the under 3.5 strikeout bet for a plus 120. And I have seen the Jays come unglued of late with issues all over the place, Jesse. It's not a good time to face one of the AL's top teams who come to town having themselves lost a series to Tampa. They will feature Lance Lynn on the mound. We've talked about him earlier. The veteran hurler is just the type of guy that's going to give this offense a fits, even at the best of times. And when they're struggling, you can multiply that. So take Lynn for the win at plus 130.
All right, Erik, where are you going?
Looking at a couple of strikeout props that look interesting. Jordan Montgomery over 5.5 is at plus 115. He's hit the over in exactly half of his 22 starts this year, but he doesn't normally get that free square against the opposing pitcher, given that he normally pitches in the AL. So I think that's a fine one, not a steal, but I think at plus money for something he's done half the time seems good to me. And then Antonio Senzatella at over 4.5 is at plus 105. Senzatella doesn't strike out anybody, like about 16-ish% strikeout rate on the year, but the Cubs strike out against everybody. I might even be able to strike out a Cub if you gave me 100 chances. Probably not. But Antonio Senzatella could definitely strike out, I think, at least 5 Cubs. He had the under in his last 2 starts, but he hit the over in his previous 4, and against the team that's striking out 30.9% since the deadline. The next worst team is striking out just 26.6% of the time. So I think even a guy like Senzatella could easily get 6 or 7 against the Cubs the way they've been hitting. All
right, let's talk about hitting. Take us home with your hitter prop of choice, Erik.
I'll say some nice things about the Blue Jays. Got to be one of us doing that. I think Lance Lynn, he's a great pitcher, but he doesn't have a high ground ball rate. So that's the kind of guy that I want to pick on for home run props. Just a 36.3% ground ball rate. Hasn't given up a ton of homers this year, but it's got low homer per fly ball rate, which tends to be mostly a sign of luck. Obviously, there's some skill there too, but he's given up fewer homers than we should expect him to give up going forward. Blue Jays have plenty of power bats, and Skydome, which I'll call it that rather than whatever giant telecom company sponsors it these days. Skydome has played, no, I was supposed to not give them the advertising. Skydome, much better name, has played very homer friendly in the last couple years. So I think pretty much most of the top Blue Jays hitters, given, again, the park and the fact that Lynn doesn't keep it on the ground, look good to me. Maybe Teoscar Hernandez at plus 400, Bo Bichette at plus 500. I think Vlad is much lower odds, but obviously has a better chance of hitting a homer. So I think most of those Blue Jays, given the matchup, look good to me.
All right, Paul, are you going to say something nice about the Blue Jays, or no, you're off them?
I'm off them until they show me something. I'm that upset with them, Jesse.
Okay.
Instead, I'm going to double down on Matt Chapman, who I also highlighted in our earlier segment. He's on that hot streak with 5 dingers in his last 10 games. Has a great history against Marco Gonzalez, so why wouldn't I take him and an A's win tonight for a nice big payoff? I also like a couple of Rockies, CJ Cron at plus 275 and Charlie Blackmon at 450 to go deep against Kyle Hendricks in what should be a pretty nice light show in that game tonight.